I have spent quite a lot of time feeling bad about good things. And what I mean by that is the podcast is a great example. You shall notice today the relaxed element, the sort of almost lackadaisical nature of the podcast today is for a particular reason. It's because I want to actually realise within myself that what I'm doing with the whole project is something that I want to do. And I spent quite a long time recently sort of panicking and stressing and feeling uncomfortable about the whole podcasting ordeal, because it's quite nerve-wracking for me to talk to people. And on another front, it's so I care about it, I care about it so much that I want it to do well, and as a result of that I'm scared of whether it will do well. And I came to realise recently, I was like, I'm putting myself in this position of sort of making the event feel arduous as to sort of signify its work value, if that makes sense. Well, let me clear that up a bit. I've made the podcast into more of an arduous task than it needs to be because I find it important. Rather than looking at it and going, this is something I find important, so I'm going to have fun with it, I'm going to enjoy what it is that I'm doing. I'd gone the other way in it. And I think a lot of people do that, where you think you can make something that is otherwise very enjoyable, like sitting and having a conversation with your mates, be closer to sort of work because you're making it that way. There was a conversation that I had with a good friend of mine, Toby, last podcast we did. He's a great guy. And what was happening in that podcast was I was really exploring this thought of, you sort of, when things go wrong, a lot of the time why we feel bad about them going wrong is because of the story we tell ourselves. It's because we won't let ourselves get rid of feelings like guilt, where we'll just feel negative about what it is that we've done, to the point where we just beat ourselves up long enough that now we feel bad. I think it's the same thing when it comes to sort of good stuff. We can sort of, if you're working towards something that is making you better, you can fall into this trap of sort of thinking as though because it's hard, you need to feel bad about it. And that's not true. What I mean is there's almost a glamour to being stressed. There's almost a glamour to being sort of in the midst of difficult work. And please be aware of the fact that you can do difficult work in a fun way. This calls back to this idea of sort of not taking yourself too seriously, which is something I think more and more now people are doing, and certainly the man that is in front of you does, where you are just taking yourself so much more seriously than you need to. And I think when we can dial this back a bit and be more relaxed, be like base level first toke of cannabis relaxed, when you can be in that frame of mind, the world runs a lot smoother for you. And that's a much better place to be in your head. It's much better when things are just dialed down a bit, taking away a bit of the sort of speed of things, I suppose. Don't do speed. Taking that away to the point where you're not feeling so rushed with things, and more sort of to tie a little bow on the point that we've made there, is to sort of be aware of the fact that when you do good things for yourself, that they don't need to be hard and saddening. You can do hard things that are good for you, and you can put them in a way that even if you are anxious about them, you can reframe that, or you should try and reframe that until this works, where you're excited. For instance, if you are doing a podcast, then come on this podcast and we'll talk. If you are doing something like that for yourself, then enjoy it. As Rio Ferdinand says, just enjoy it, man. And there's a real point to be made there, young Rio. Just do it. And I think I'm going to round this video out by saying that for those of you who are listening to this was a clip from the podcast, so if you want to listen to the whole thing, it will be on the channel. If not, if you're just listening to the whole thing, then thank you very much for listening, because pretty pretty fucking relaxed. I'm not gonna lie. You know, this has been really nice to just sit and shoot some breeze, and I shall do this more often because, as I said in this point, it's important that we enjoy things. It really is. It's important that we find ourselves in positions where, even if we're anxious, or even if we're nervous about things, even if we're sad about things, that we find a way to open ourselves up to enjoyment, because it is there. And on the point of sadness, if you are sad at the moment, trust me, it will be okay. And I love you all. So that's what I'm going to say for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. I'm not going to have any more of this because it's fucking horrible. In a bit.